Going live. Hello? I can't hear anybody else, but there's nobody to hear. Just waiting for Linda and Brooke. Hello?
Hi.
Linda,
Hi there.
can you see me okay?
Yes, I can. I can see you.
Excellent. Can you hear me?
And I can hear you.
Awesome, and we are live. We're
yeah,
just waiting for Brooke.
Yeah, it took me a little while to get everything taken care of, but
Oh, well, I can see everything and hear you fine.
that's good. It just keeps wanting to go to my phone first. And so I had to let it know, no phone. You need to go somewhere else. How are we going to deal with, okay, I'm up a little higher than normal. I mean,
Okay.
I'm lower, I guess, because all of my outlets that I usually plug into on that side of the house are dead. So I have to be on this side of the house. So
Okay.
maybe I should sit on my foot and then you guys can see me better.
I can see you fine just the way you were. You don't have to sit up higher.
Okay, that's
That
fine.
way.
All
Yeah.
right. Now,
And I'm at the hospital, so I could get interrupted. My mom's surgery is today. So just so you know, if somebody comes out here, I may have to leave for a minute, but I could just pause it and come right back.
well, I think if you pause it, then the record, I think this is what happens. You can't pause the recording.
Oh.
So just.
Oh, yeah, because we did that the other day and it cut us off, didn't we?
Yeah, so just let it keep on going.
All right. And let me text Brooke and see if she's ready. Let's see. I didn't have the ability to view that.
Video?
I couldn't get the video to go.
Okay.
So I'm a little blind on this, other than the reading of the transcript, I guess.
And that's what Brooke, hers wouldn't work either, but mine did. So I'll fill you in on what happened. We can discuss.
Okay. And then if I'm not mistaken, how we separated it is I am going to upload the video, right?
Right. Is that still okay? Is that too much for you to do?
No, no, no. That is perfect for me to do. Whoops, sorry, I'm on a shaky table. I can do that. That's no problem. But to have to
do the summary?
Do the scribe, I don't think I have time today to do that.
No. I thought I was going to be the scribe. I don't know that I'll be the best of scribes, but I thought I would be the scribe. Then what I'll do is I'll send it to you and Brooke to view it to see if that's if you agree with it. And then I'll when everyone agrees on it, I'll send it to you, the finished copy, and then you can use that and the video, but you shouldn't have to scribe. No.
Okay, good.
At all. And I'll try to be a good scribe. I'll try my best.
You'll try and be what?
The good scribe. I mean, I've looked and it doesn't look like there's any real, he just said briefly summarize. And so I put up I have the 4 things written down that were to discuss during this meeting. And so I thought, as we discuss them, I'll try to put them in.
Okay, and you'll be able to come back and view the video too, if you need to come back and hear what we said. You'll be able to watch it back.
Yeah. Maybe I will sit on my foot. Just then I don't feel like my chin is, I don't know why, but I just feel like I'm so far down. So,
well, I'll show you what you look like here. I'll put my picture on. She says, yep, she's ready. Okay. So say something and you'll see.
Okay, I can see, I don't see myself. I see a couch.
Hang on. You don't want to see that picture. Oh. Okay, say something again.
Okay, I'm talking and I still just see you in the waiting room, right? That's okay.
Weird. Here we go.
Okay, I see your finger. See your hand.
Why is it doing that?
I don't know.
Okay. If you say something, you'll pop up on my screen.
Okay, all right. I'm popping up on your screen and there I see my head. Okay, that's good.
There you go. Did you see your whole body?
I did. I saw.
Okay, that's
That's good.
Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my screen up and view. Let's see. She needs to. Maybe I need to invite her again.
Okay.
Let's see.
I need to find where I did with my pen. Your pen.
Let's do email. Okay. What did you think about that story, the case study, while we're waiting for her?
With a kid? Which one? Zach?
With Zach.
Oh my gosh, I never had such a bad reaction to anything in my life. It was, I don't know if it's just everything that's going on, but wow. Did you have a bad reaction too? Was it just so
Well,
sad?
you know, I had that kind of cancer in my muscle 12 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
So it was very, very intense. Yeah, very personal. Obviously my outcome was much better than his. I've made it through it twice.
Twice?
So, I had a sarcoma in my thigh, and I had a tumor in my breast, and then I had the sarcoma come back in my groin. So, yeah, it's been intense for the last 12 years. But I love his legacy he left.
Yes.
I do. I think that was brilliant. She needed me to do this again, so I'm going to do it again.
My only request is if you don't need me at 3 o'clock, just give me a call.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I love that the music that he did is something that was recognizable. I've heard those songs before. I know I feel like I've seen that story before, and
yeah, I had seen it before too, but yeah, this time I don't know why it affected me so much more this time. I was just in tears.
yeah, it was very personal. It was a beautiful story. I'm very lucky. So, well, maybe we should start off as we wait for her. I'm just afraid that I'll have to get whisked away. I don't want to have to do that. Okay, hang on here. I'm
You know what?
getting all kinds of texts from family too.
Yeah, I saw Brooke. She says Brooke Mortensen says something. So maybe what she needs to do is in her Google inbox. There's a.
Yeah.
Okay, she just joined us. Okay.
Oh, there she is.
Oh,
Excellent.
hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
That's okay. No problem.
I figured it out finally.
Yeah, it
Good.
takes
We're
a
all
while.
here.
Okay.
And I'll apologize in advance. I'm right by the elevators. So if somebody walks out and says something, it'll be on our video, but that's okay.
No worries.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we start out with a prayer? And I can.
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, I'll say it.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for this opportunity to meet together, and we pray that all our technology devices will continue to work, that Thou might bless peace in that hospital room so that Karen can concentrate, that Thou might bless us to discuss the things we need to, that I can do a good summary for us, and we can just really enjoy this whole experience, we pray. And we pray for Karen's mother this day, that everything will go well for her, and that that the whole family can feel of Thy love. And this we pray in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry.
Well, I get very emotional.
It's a stressful day.
Yeah,
What a class to have during this time, you know?
I know. I wonder about that. Okay, so we didn't really choose one of us that would lead the discussion and keep us on track. But the first thing is to discuss the points that we identified. So, whoops, I lost everybody.
Uh-oh. I can still see you.
Okay,
Yeah.
as long as y'all can see me, then I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to
Oh,
go
I
to...
see. There we go. Okay, so the points, one of the, do you want me to start off since I was
Sure.
one who saw the video? Okay, the family comes into the room, and this is what I noticed, is that their body language is just funny. The father comes in and sits on the couch, and the mother comes in second. She doesn't sit next to the father. And then the daughter comes in, and she sits down in between the parents. So there's only a chair that's off from the family, a single chair, and that's where Jimmy sits. And he's the one who's, as you know, is having the problem. And so then throughout the session, as you were reading that, you probably heard Brother William say, "Oh, could you switch over here? Could you switch there?" And he ends up rearranging the family where the parents are sitting together, and then he rearranges again where Jimmy is on the couch next to his father. And now Matt's in the single chair. And I think that when he was rearranging those, rearranging them, he's actually setting up and encouraging the relationships. He's understanding the mother and father are a little fractured right now. And so by putting them together, and then the father at the beginning, you know, he will put his hand down and the wife grabs it, and then he puts his arm around the mother, and before long they're sitting there like they are a couple, like they're united. So I think that was good to see. And then did you guys think that Jimmy maybe had more angst against his father than his mother, even though his father was more on his side?
Maybe we're so similar. I don't know.
I guess.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Brooke?
Oh, I thought that I could only read it. I couldn't watch the video.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but I thought that the father and son were very similar in their personalities, and so maybe that's why there's some kind of tension there, because there's so much alike that it's hard for them to break through that communication barrier.
Yeah, it may cause a little anxiety when the father sees similar qualities or the mirror image.
Yeah.
Where he's stepping back to see how things flow or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think because he made the comment that when they were saying that he was gone all the time, that Jimmy was gone all the time, and he said, well, Dad is gone all the time. He doesn't even I don't know, he's not even around to notice that I'm not there. And I think, and if you could have seen the video, once they put Jimmy next to the father, and then Brother Williams, the therapist, encourages the father to do something with Jimmy, find time for him, Jimmy's face lights up, and he starts
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk.
That's
And
the part that I really wish I could have seen, is all the emotions.
yeah,
I mean,
Is that there's so much to read from that.
yeah, and he is so happy. That's why I think that he had more emotions against his father than his mother, because his mother was at least doing something, even though he was reading it wrong. So, and then let's see, something about, yeah, that's all that I noticed. I mean, Maddie was the daughter. She was very emotional. You could come. She's always shaking her little foot, and she looked kind of disgusted. And she was, you know, she had made that comment that you probably had read, where she made the comment that her parents knew where Jimmy was. He was off to these parties, and they just weren't admitting it. So I think she had some real judgments against her father and her parents, but by the end, you know, she was quite a delightful child, I think.
Linda, do you think that came through as a jealous situation? Was she jealous that she wasn't out doing her thing?
No, I think that she was the favored child kind of thing. I mean, in the video, remember that the mother says, we wouldn't have known any of this was happening except for what Maddie tells us. If Maddie wasn't giving us information, we would have no information. So I think, I don't know if she came off jealous or not. I don't know.
Or maybe entitled?
yeah. I would say,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Well, I would say that my impression of her was that she really enjoyed her role of letting the parents know what was going wrong with her brother, but she also missed their old connection and the way that they used to get along and the way that life used to be before they moved to the town. So the family spent more time together. She had a better relationship with her brother and her parents, and there wasn't as much tension prior to moving. So that was my impression of her, that she kind of liked the role, but that she really missed how life was before.
And that makes sense too. Any kind of big change like that brings anxiety, a sense of, what's the another word? Nostalgia. I think it happens even if you don't go to a new city. As people grow and change with age and life. And with Jimmy's situation being something that maybe is less desirable, brings a lot of anxiety with it too.
Yeah, especially as kids are getting older and, you know, they're going to draw closer to friends or pull away from the family a little bit. So that's going to naturally happen. But as far as the family goes, they have to figure out how to navigate that and figure out how to get along, you know, and go through that process rather than resisting it completely, because it's just a natural part of life. You know?
And that may be part of Jimmy's father's situation, pulling away versus dealing with the situation. You know what I mean? Maybe that wedge is part of him not dealing with what he sees.
Yeah, or maybe being conflicted with allowing Jimmy to have wings, but yet not knowing where those boundaries, you know, where his role is as far as being a parent anymore, you know.
Right.
And something else is his father was not, his parents were not involved in his life either. So he really doesn't know how to be involved in their lives. And obviously he stayed kind of a good kid even though his parents weren't involved in his life, but so he's just thinking Jimmy's a good kid, that everything's just fine. So
yeah.
Oh, you guys, I don't think I'm going to be able to discuss this and take notes too at the same time. So at the end, it's probably my summary. I'm going to have to send it to you. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm taking little notes so I don't forget what we talk about. So
Okay. All right.
maybe
Okay.
we can help each other.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So other points that you all noticed, I guess I'm writing down. The thing that we're supposed to talk about is the points that we identified. And I think, you know, that the family was in a change.
Sorry. The family.
You know, they were in a they were kind of in limbo almost. I mean, they were at the edge of a change. Jimmy was now not going to be a small child at home. He needed to be making some decisions, and I think he wasn't feeling as though he was getting a lot of his father's time to help him, and I don't know.
I want to go back to this transcript real quick.
Did you both get my notes that I sent?
I did. I got your notes. And
Okay.
Did you send it to my Google email? Because I did not.
I don't know. I just responded to Karen's, so I don't know.
Oh, I haven't gone on there this morning, so I probably did.
I thought I replied to all, but I kind of broke down our readings in chapter 6, taking out like the key head, or what are they called? I don't know. The key
subject lines, whatever.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
And then I kind of I italicized my thoughts on it, of what the therapist did, of what the family was doing, kind of to go through each thing and kind of break it down. Like when you talk about the making meaning of crisis experiences, the pileup of the stressors. So there were several stressors piling up for the family. A new state, there was miscommunication, and the father was gone a lot, siblings not as close, children aging, no direction for future plans for the son. So kind of the things we've just talked about could go under that category. And then there's several little, under making meaning of crisis experiences, there's several little bullet points that go with that. But I just kind of broke it down and talked about what I saw the therapist was doing to address those issues. I don't know if that's what we were supposed to do. I don't really know.
Oh, I think that's great. I wonder if yeah. So should we go down through the reading and kind of talk about, you know, like what Brooke has put down. So for me, under decreasing risk factors, I think that that the therapist he brought out that the son let everyone know he wasn't drinking or drugs. So decreasing risk factors are reducing exposure or overload of stress. So the mom was going crazy, and I think that he really supported her, don't you think? Because of all the people that had to move in that video, the mom was the only one who didn't have to move, and she seemed to me to be the most vulnerable because she was the one who was the most worried about her son, and she reacted probably the worst of all the family members, so she was probably feeling the guiltiest. And I think that by him not having her, that was almost a symbol of his letting her know that what she's doing.
Sorry.
That's okay. And so then also providing information altering catastrophic beliefs. The son let everyone know he wasn't drinking or drugs, and I think that relieved a lot of the stress. Don't y'all?
Yeah.
Well, I think it can, but it can also breed, if the trust has been broken, just saying it is not going to necessarily alleviate the stress. You know, there has to be action attached to it. I think that maybe that's part of mom's stress. She wants to believe him, but yet if there's times that he has said one thing and done another and been caught, which I'm sure time and time that's happened because they're at this situation. I think the building of trust it has to happen before just saying, oh, I'm not doing this, it's going to work. I think that that actually can add to the stress. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Oh, I agree completely. I think that, yeah, for sure. Like I wasn't sure I believed him. Now I didn't get to see his face, but
Yeah.
like I definitely would have questioned it quite a bit without more concrete evidence that it wasn't happening, or those things weren't going to happen in the future even, when you're
Right.
exposed to
Were
all
there
of those
tests?
things and those friends, then there's more tendency to fall into that as time goes on. Your strength weakens, to resist it. But
Right. And were there tests done to prove there was no substances in his blood or things like that? That would have more, if there hadn't been tests done, and I apologize, I don't remember.
I don't know.
I know that there was mention that he was drug and alcohol free.
Yes.
But was there backup to that? And if so, that would hold more water than just a verbal confirmation from Jimmy.
Yeah, more validity for sure.
Right.
Okay, so in strengthening the family, I thought that that Brother Williams did a really good job in guiding the family to express their love to each other. I mean, he guided them, that he took their strength, which was that they did actually love each other, and they didn't want harm to each other. He helped express that, and then you can see a softening of the family when they did that. And I guess why I would believe Jimmy is because just I watched him and I thought, yeah, his reaction was an honest reaction. So yeah.
And again, the emotion that you see from him is so much different than reading it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
And you can see the sister's face all of a sudden, because she said some of his friends were drinking or drugs, but she didn't say all of his friends were.
Yeah.
All of his friends doing that.
Have your attention, please. This is just a test of the overhead paging system.
So sorry.
Disregard.
All right.
And I think they were reducing vulnerabilities when the family needs to recognize things are changing. Their lives are changing. The kids,
Yeah.
and that is, Karen, do you have kids? Do you have children?
I have one son that's 22 and one that's 17.
So you've gone through this. You're about at that.
We've gone through that. We're still going through that. I have one son who he's home office mission. He's a great guy, but he has a issue with the word of wisdom, and it's an unfortunate issue.
Yeah.
He suffers from deep depression, so he's home again by his choice, and he works. I mean, he holds down a job, and he does very well. He goes to church. The depression just gets the best of him, and being away at college was too much after his mission. So he's at home, and he's doing online classes, and he's doing a couple at a time, and it seems to be working. He's in a better place than he was a year ago, so we're very happy with that. But while he was on his mission, my brother died from complications from the flu, and they were super close. And then just 7 weeks later, my dad died, and so he didn't get to be here because he was serving his mission in Tahiti.
Oh, wow.
So he's had to deal with a lot of stress and anxiety from that, and I think that's where it all kind of hails from. So yes, it's a very intense thing when I read about young people like that having issues. I think it's widespread among all youth, whether they're LDS or Catholic or whatever. All religions. I think the youth of the world are just being, I don't know, bombarded with crazy. And I just think that's what it is. The world has just gotten so intense and crazy. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm I internalized this class a lot more than I probably should.
That's what I was going to say.
So-
You were brave to take this class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had no idea.
It's very
It's
useful.
it's very therapeutic though.
Yeah, I bet.
So we're going to go. I'm going to go from Brooke's outline, and where she's talking about making meaning of crisis and experience. I thought that at the end the mom felt great about the experience. So I think that Brother Williams did a good job of making it make sense, and he kept on saying that throughout it. This makes sense to you, doesn't it? Now, don't let me put words in your mouth, but this makes sense, doesn't it? It would make sense that your parents would be upset. You know, it makes sense that this mama grizzly bear would come out like a crazy person, you know?
Right. Well, and I think that gives him ownership of it. When you let him have, when his cognitive thought goes to, yeah, it makes sense. If it's a logical situation and he's able to internalize that in his mind, then he owns that. And then he can't walk away from what is happening and what he has to do. And therefore, back to the other question about, is he really drug-free? If he wasn't, then I would expect, and I think they would expect, to see an elevated anxiety versus what Linda was saying, the calm and soothing relief that was shown in his expression. So that's a good thing too.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you know, Brother Williams also told Jimmy, he said, Jimmy, you're a very powerful person.
Yeah.
He was.
That part, yeah.
Okay, so as far as seizing opportunities in the midst of crisis, I mean, no one hated anyone anymore. You know, by the end of that session, they realized that they had misunderstood each other.
Well, selfishness really can get in the way of recognizing love. I mean, what is that? I don't know if you've seen The Help, but the mother in The Help says, love and hate are two horns on the same goat.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's really there. My mom has always told me that too. There's a fine line between love and hate. And just like with Second Nephi, opposition in all things, Second Nephi 2:11, you have to know the bad to have the good. Well, without loving them, you can't feel that sense of anxious, well, I don't even like to call it hatred. I think it's just selfish anxiety that causes you to feel that. I don't think people hate people. I think that they don't get what they want and they feel entitled to something different, therefore they translate it into that word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
so.
right.
Seeing the family go from hate to love, I think, is just the realization that they had to stop being selfish.
Yeah.
I agree completely. That was a good way to put it.
Okay, you guys, in the normalizing family distress, I'm trying to see if I don't know if you had that. Yeah, you did. Brooke says the therapist asked about hobbies and interests of family and wove past camping into conversation with solutions. So I think that was, you know, the father helped them find what do y'all have in common. Not the father, the therapist did.
Yeah.
But I also think that he just kept on saying, well, now that's normal. You know, your family's having this little fight or whatever, but that's normal. Even in my family, there's fighting, you know. So he normalized it by, and it's only normal that the mother has these kind of reactions because she is the mother. It's only normal that a little sister would feel this way. You know, he kept on normalizing them. And I thought that was great that, I mean, he didn't judge any of them. I mean, even to me, I was thinking, the father needs to be more involved. But he did not say, you need to be more involved. Instead, he just said, is there a way for you to do this? You know, they weren't judged. So,
and he kept reminding each family member of why like going back to each family member and saying, well, why would your mom feel this, because of that, and validating their feelings with each other, between each other, so that each one recognized, okay, this is normal, this is really a natural reaction to what I'm doing in my behavior. Especially the son, I think, then was able to see the natural path of how things were evolving.
Mm-hmm. The logical consequences of things versus the natural consequences. I think when Jimmy realizes what he's doing wrong, natural consequences being the anxiety that mom has when she doesn't know where he is, or dad has when he doesn't know where he is, or sister has when she knows where he is and he's not doing what he's supposed to. Versus the logical consequence of saying, oh, I'm really disappointing my family, and if I don't do that, then that stressor can be gone, or we can find that commonality and have a good time without an argument. Right. So I think those are really important to know. I think all kids have to figure that out, and I don't know if it happens when they're 19 or 20, so maybe earlier, but I think that there's that sense. I've always thought that there's a sense of kids have to get through that, and it seems to be right after high school, first few years of college maybe. I had it. I think my husband, it may have lasted a little longer for him. Just kidding. But my older son has that right now, and I'm hoping that my younger son can learn from seeing that, but I don't hold a lot of hope out. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think that he'll eventually have to go through it himself too. Yeah. And I think that Jimmy, maybe his sister feels like, oh, I'm going to learn from this, but maybe she will, maybe she won't. Depends on how, I guess, how well the family comes back together.
Yeah, how they support each other, for sure.
Right. Sorry, I keep babbling. You guys just have to cut me off.
That's okay.
I don't think it's bad. I'm just trying. You're going deep on me, girl, and I'm having to put on my snorkel so I can get down there. Okay, so I also thought it was good that the therapist kept on saying, don't let me put words in your mouth. But actually what he was doing is he was taking their feelings and seeing how they were reacting, and he was compacting them into a statement that they could agree with. Because I think Jimmy didn't know how to communicate his feelings very well at all.
Yeah.
Right, because he didn't learn from his dad, who didn't learn from his dad.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a pattern.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was really good and that's, I put that under using respectful language and constructs, because I think acknowledging that they needed to that the therapist never once pointed a finger at anyone and said, what you're doing is the problem. He just didn't. He let them just be, and I think opened them up to see their crisis as something different.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if the therapist were to say, okay, you did this, that gives them a crutch to always point blame. Exactly. So they have to stay, they have to be Sweden or Switzerland. They have to stay neutral to that. They can't do that, and they have to diffuse the situation between the family members if one is pointing the finger at the other. Maybe sister did. A little bit of that, and then diffusing that by letting them go inside and own the situation if they have caused some of the stressor, or come to that realization on their own. And I like how he says, don't let me put words in your mouth, right. Or whatever tactic is used. It makes sense to let them come to the realization that A is happening and B is the result. And I know it's one of the normal things children want to be children want to make their parents proud. I don't know how else to put that. So when they see that, it tends to alleviate stress. There's a word for that, and I can't find it in my brain right now. Sorry.
Okay.
Children want to have admiration from their parents. Is that the word?
There we go. Yeah. Respect. I don't know.
Acceptance. Yeah. Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Yeah. They want to please their parents. I think they really
Right.
do generally. And when they're doing something where, anyway, so.
And I think too, parents want that from they want the kids to feel that, and they want to feel that from their kids too.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what comes out. Normalizing the family stress, I think that's the main goal. And once one person, like going back to saying good things and expressing their admiration and love for one another, once one person does that, then it's like the trickle-down effect. It's easier when the ice is broken and somebody says something nice, then it's easier for the next person to say something nice. But on the same token, if somebody is being negative, sometimes it's easy to stay negative. So that's where Brother Williams was able to kind of diffuse that and get it into a positive realm.
Mm-hmm.
I was amazed. I was amazed that he was able to change the whole thing and not judge any of them. I just didn't feel any judgment at all. So this kind of therapy, I guess this is one of the questions that I'm supposed to answer or put down, and that is how a treatment professional or paraprofessional might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities to introduce or reinforce the types of resiliency factors from Walsh's article. Okay, so in short, how did these principles, how can we see the importance of these principles in therapy, the ones that we've read about? As opposed to, I've never been in therapy before, probably should have been, but was never. And so what I'm wondering is, before, maybe these principles weren't a part of it. Maybe there was blame. Maybe we were trying to figure out who the person was that needed to change. And in this system, we're just helping the family be able to recognize that it's all of their problems, that that each of them affects the other one, and their responsibility towards it.
Well, any kind of loss comes to be everyone's loss. When you have a family unit, if one, say you have a wagon wheel, if one spoke, or a bike wheel, if a spoke is broken, it labors the rest more to work and sometimes causes it not to work. And it's the same way with the family unit. If one is out of place or missing, the rest doesn't work as it should. So whether they point blame or are positive or whatever, it continually comes back around to each member, and one may react completely differently than another. Sometimes, I know you guys probably feel this in your family too, when one's low, the others work harder to pick that person back up, whether it's your immediate family or even your church family. You rally around those that are in need. So I think, can you, Linda, read that question one more time?
Okay, well, it's actually kind of a statement, but this is what I wonder also, I just wanted to ask you, is that, yes, every member of the family does affect the family, but does every member of the family honestly realize that they have that kind of effect? I mean, I don't think that Jimmy understood that he had that kind of effect. I think he felt like he was a lone being and he was doing his thing, and like you've mentioned many times, selfishness, but I don't think he realized that he was a part of his family system.
Right. I think that he was living what he learned. Dad was gone. He doesn't know if Dad's gone working. He doesn't know what Dad's doing as he's growing up. He just knows he's absent. And again, thinking Dad doesn't care that he's absent. Dad doesn't realize what he's done. And therefore, I think Jimmy's following the same pattern, thinking, okay, it really doesn't matter. But now in this situation where he can visually, when he can visualize each person and the way his situation's affecting them, then maybe that's bringing him back to understand that it's like a domino effect. If one is, out of whack, the rest can fall, or they support one another one way or the other. I mean, there's two ways to look at that, but
do you think this way of therapy, therapy where you're using the whole family system instead of just taking one piece and part? What if Jimmy was the only one in that room being talked to?
I think that's a necessary thing to happen at one point or another, but when you get to the point where all the family's together, I'm certain that if there was, I would say that prior to the family session or closely hereafter, that he would have a personal session. That's just my opinion. But I think the family session is necessary to deal with a family crisis. I don't think that's something that one person can fix on their own.
I agree. I also think that family, it's easy when you're in a crisis to lose sight of the unit that you are, like you were saying. And it's also difficult for you to figure out that you really have, like, all you see is the tension and the stress, and Jimmy was feeling attacked and things like that, and it was escalating. But when you sit down and you pick apart the little pieces, how each member contributes to this crisis in their own way, then you can see the broader picture as a family. So you can step back and see how your actions are affecting others and what's going on, and then that helps. So I think this therapy was really useful because I feel like we were each able to see what their role was, how they contributed to the problem, not just Jimmy. And then he didn't feel so attacked and like it was, he was so alone. He felt more like the family was a unit. So I really was impressed by it. I thought it was really useful.
Yeah. Well, and going back to that validation, validating the fact that it's okay for him to have anger, it's okay for him to feel his emotions, and it's okay for everyone else to feel theirs. Validating that is brilliant to give everyone else closure to any uncertainties that they have.
Yeah.
And how did he go about teaching resilience? I mean, these little subject headlines are to teach resilience, and I think that Brother Williams actually helped the family, and he supported them by letting the parents know when he said, I think that parents have special help from, on high, on God, whatever, they can solve their problems. So he's letting the parents know, I have confidence that you can do this. And
right.
I think that is part of the resilience. So now the parents know that if they're together and if they're calmly discussing this, they can come up with it, and they need to be together discussing it.
Sure. And I think, too, knowing that they can go to a counselor, knowing they can have a therapy session, and it doesn't make them bad people, it doesn't make them crazy people. It makes them normal. It makes the situation normal. I think that teaches them resilience. It's okay to go talk to someone, whether it be your bishop, whether it be your mom or dad, or whether as a family you go to a therapist. That in and of itself, to seek outside resources is extremely important, because not always are you going to find everything right there within the four walls of your home, other than the gospel. But as much as I want to use that as part of every paper I write, we also have to realize that we're not going to only talk to LDS people about stress and things. So keeping it on a secular level, it's okay to be that way. It's okay to need help from the outside forces. So I think that's one way of teaching resilience, especially to the children.
Yeah.
And to break that cycle that we're seeing between Jimmy's father and Jimmy and the lack of the grandfather. To break that cycle for the next generation.
Yeah. I also thought that how the therapist made sure that they understood that they could come up with solutions too. So they could sit down and they could come up with a plan. You know, he wasn't going to map it directly out for them. He encouraged them to try to do it. So then that strengthened their resilience because then they were able to come up with their own plan and take ownership of it. And
Right.
ownership
And then
of
they're more apt to execute that.
exactly. Yeah. So I like that he encouraged that, you know. So
Yeah, I agree with both of you that first off, they needed to say, you know, he told them they were brave to come in. I think that was brave of them. But then he,
Yep.
like what you said, Brooke, that he's letting them know. But without me, you can still do this. If you know, you can, like you said, ownership, and and building their resilience themselves, that they can depend on each other to come up with it. Sometimes when you're in the midst of things, the trees are hiding the trees. What is that? You're in the forest, you can't see the trees. And
Yeah,
you
you
need
can't see the trees.
yeah.
Yeah.
Brother Williams is just pointing out, hey, there's trees here. This is a tree, that's a tree, you know, because sometimes when you're in that mix, and Karen, you might be in that mix today. You might. I mean, it sounds like you've
Well,
been.
it's been a rough couple of years, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just one after another after another. I'm surprised you're still swimming.
Oh, I have no choices.
Got some good.
This is something that makes me happy. This is something that relieves my stress. Does that even make sense?
yeah,
All the work?
for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so and then what did y'all think when he had the father ask the mother out on a date?
I think that is incredible, and that is so important. Oh, if I could only get my husband and my kids to see the importance that I'm not saying my husband and I don't go on dates, but to ask or you know, not to lose that. That's so important.
Yeah, I thought that was key also, and then to make time for the son and daughter to get you know, to spend time together also and foster that relationship was important too. So he encouraged all of that, which I thought was really good. And then the
That's
father
one
and the
thing.
son taking drives, which I thought was really, because that's how they used to communicate and that's how they used to talk. So that was important to bring that back and point that out to them, that that's a good communication tool, you know. So
Yeah.
And where
That was one thing that through Zach's story, I thought was really important to see that they had individual relationships with the little bit of time that they had left. He was able to spend quality time with each of his family members, and I think that no matter how much time you have, I think that's important to make individual time and group time.
And you know, the thing also, maybe why those two talk better in the car is because you're not having to actually look at each other in a car to have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's being where they kind of close off. It's probably a good way for them to do that. But I did notice in that video that Jimmy didn't have a lot of eye contact at the beginning. He was mostly just always looking down. And as the session went on, and he started having eye contact. So I think, you know, he was maybe feeling a little guilty about his actions, and he was prepared for a good thrashing or whatever. And when he didn't get it, then he didn't, you know, when instead he realized, oh, my family doesn't hate me. They love me. And that's amazing.
Yep.
right.
And building empathetic connections with between family members. I thought Brother Williams did that really well, because the mother, her craziness was because she loved her son, and the son needed to understand. She's afraid you are dead sometimes, or you are hurt, and you're not answering her text. And no one ever said that was rude that he didn't answer text. No one said, well, you have to answer text. That was left open for them to come up with a solution themselves, don't you think?
I think that's such a new thing that there's not going to be a lot of people that bring that. But I agree. I think it's very important for the teenagers to understand that they've got to communicate. The past generations are still trying to figure all that out. So to utilize that's important. 20 years ago, if I was gone, my parents just have to hope I got back because we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
Okay, 30 years ago, I guess. I'm getting older.
Oh, come on, just 10 years ago. Okay, so then do you think that he helped the father take the leadership role?
He being Brother Williams, yeah, I believe
Brother
so.
Williams. You know,
Because he set
him.
him up. It wasn't a demand on him as much as it was he put him in that position by respecting his authority as the father figure.
Yes.
He set, like you said at the beginning, he put him there in his place and rearranged the family, and there must have been some sort of visual stimulation there to respect the father's patriarchal duty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought he did when he guided Jimmy, and then what came out was Jimmy realized his dad had parents that weren't that involved in his life. Jimmy may not have realized that. I mean, he may have thought the grandparents weren't involved in their lives, but he never realized that this is how they were as parents too.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, I set a timer so that we're supposed to talk for 45 minutes on this, and then the next 15 minutes kind of review and set up what we want for our summary of it.
Can
So
you
we're
guys
just
still? Can you still hear me? Because I can't hear you very well anymore.
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
It's me, I think. It's my phone. But I just wondered, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. I can hear you
It might
enough.
just be-
So
maybe I set back farther. Maybe I need to get up here closer.
no, it's
I
my
told you.
phone. Somebody tried to call me and it got all messed up. So
Oh.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm having to be in a different part of the house because the part of the house that I put my laptop normally, the plugins are not working right now. So they just blew out. Wasn't that nice of them? I didn't like that.
Probably.
Okay.
So first we could talk about how he repositioned the family position and therefore redirected the family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's good. I'll put that down. I'll put that down exactly. I might. Okay, so. And reposition the family dynamic. Is that what you said?
Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am. I have a hair that keeps getting in my mouth.
Yuck. All right, and then some of the points that we brought out. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so we brought that out. That was one of the points that he did that. I don't know.
He validated their position, whether it's anxiety or anger or not position. He validated their emotions.
Okay. Can I say he didn't judge them? Because validated is a big word for me. Okay, I'll put it down. Validated. Oh, validated
You
by
can add that
by not judging the members.
Uh-huh.
Right?
I think that's good. Do we have an outline we're supposed to be following? Like, I don't really know.
No, this was not. It just said that, the points we identify, for us to identify points, and then did everyone identify the same points, or were there points not everyone caught? And was anyone surprised by the findings or observations? And were you surprised by the findings or observations? Okay, there we go. That's our 45 minutes, but now for the next 15 minutes, we just kind of talked about this.
I wasn't surprised.
No.
You were surprised that that Jimmy thought his family hated him?
No.
Oh.
I think that is something where a lot of teenagers and young people get. I think a lot of people feel the world hates them.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay,
So I
so
wasn't too surprised.
I was the only surprised one, I guess. I mean, I was like, and it made more sense. I'm like, oh, all those times my boys turned 18 years old and they got a little snotty with me, it was because they thought I mean, I was just helping them, and they thought I was, like, disappointed in them or whatever. So I thought it was,
Yeah.
I need.
But it's okay if you were disappointed. It's okay to be disappointed.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I thought they were doing fine. I just wanted them to make sure that they were on task. And I think, like what you've mentioned, that age, they're not always on task. No.
I think they drop the ball and they just don't find it for a couple years.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
It's probably their brains aren't. Our brains are not fully developed till we're about 26 years old, and I'm like, whoa! I made most of my biggest decisions before I was 26 years old. So.
Oh, isn't that scary?
Yeah.
That's why I'm still in college. I didn't have it in me back then, and I took a semester off.
Yeah.
And that's lasted 25 years.
Yeah.
So.
I hear ya.
Okay, you guys. My oldest son is turned 39 years old, so I have been out of school a lot more. So yeah, I understand that. You are getting back in school a lot sooner. So I'm really not planning on a career. I'm just getting a degree. Okay.
I can't give my husband a hard time for being on the 6-year football schedule. He played college football.
Okay.
Because now I'll graduate. It will have taken me 30 years, literally. Next summer I'll have my degree.
Oh,
so,
wonderful. Yeah, I won't get mine till December of 2017. Okay, so
that's next year. That's good. Another point that we probably want to make sure we mention is that there's opposition in all things. They need to recognize the bad so they can understand the good. The family needs to have anger issues to be able to have love. I don't want to say it's hate because I don't believe they hate each other. They may want to think that, or Jimmy may say that to himself, but he is looking at disappointments or I don't believe it's hate. I just think that that's such a vile word.
Yeah, I agree.
That, but they need to have the bad to find the good. I mean, it could be that simple.
Right, and we talked how Brother Williams helped Jimmy to understand and take ownership.
Right.
So I just say, Brother Williams, should I say that? Brother Williams helped Jimmy take ownership.
Sure.
Yep. Or recognized his ownership.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think he took ownership yet. So recognize that he had ownership.
Right. And he has to embrace that. And maybe he hadn't just yet. Okay.
And then we also said that, okay, I think you already talked about the opposition, how selfishness kind of brings about that. Yet, I don't know, we talked about so much stuff.
We did.
It's important that the family came up with their own map to reconciliation or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, I'm going to put that under this one, how treatment professionals or blah blah yakety schmackities. Okay, trust me. I'll let you read over this before I turn it in. How does that sound?
That sounds fine.
Okay, you'll need to. And then just go ahead and correct whatever and then turn it back to me. Okay, so the email that I sent you at Brooke, that one is a good one for me to send this to you.
That'll work, yeah.
All right. Okay, so the problem I just had is I forgot what I was going to type down now. So what did we just say?
How the family decided, like they made a plan.
Yeah, we left it to the family to make the plan. Oh, right.
Yep. He also gave the family normalization.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling
And
like they were, like this was something
And-
that many families go through.
right. And then he helped them find their common interests or commonalities.
Hmm. I like that a couple times he mentioned his own struggles going through similar things. So he
Yeah.
related to
There,
them.
that validates again, I think, and builds trust within the relationship between the therapist and the family
Exactly.
to realize he's not just a doctor,
Yeah.
and it's not just the money, he's actually there.
Yeah.
That's important.
Hmm.
All right. I'm going to look at this other page one more time.
Okay, I think I'm trying to look at Brooks. Okay, and help them accept that their family is changing.
Right.
Hmm.
Family system is changing, or what? Would we say family system?
Family dynamic.
The
Okay.
dynamic. Well, and the system, I guess, would be changing too as the kids grow up and move out.
Yeah.
Then they create their own family system, or family crucible is, I guess, what we're calling it now.
You know, actually, because I have all my children are married and they have children, so the system does change. It just gets bigger too. You know, even though they have their own
Right.
particular specific system, that system works within our system, our own system. So
Yeah.
Yep. If you look at a genealogy chart, really, that's the family system.
Hmm.
yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so y'all didn't think that Jimmy just saying he wasn't drinking was actually going to help the mother's anxiety.
I didn't see her emotion, so I would say no, but it would depend on how her expression. I would guess that makes a big difference.
The thing is Jimmy never did lie to them. He just told them nothing. So I don't think that.
But that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, that's something that my kids tell me all the time, but I didn't tell you that. Well, but it was implied, or, yeah. It's called lying by omission.
Omission. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe she didn't feel that way, but as the mother, not a therapist, lying by omission is one of my biggest pet peeves.
Okay, and then also we did talk about how the father and Jimmy were so much alike.
Yes.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
And that could have caused some of the, I don't want to say abandonment, the absence of his father.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is this being recorded? Like, do we submit this or something?
Yes.
Yes. It's being
Oh.
recorded.
Okay.
So smile pretty.
Well, I didn't do my hair, but.
I wish it was a video recorder. I wish it was just audio, but oh well. Okay, so then we also talked about how the family was able, each member of the family was able to express themselves. you know,
Mhm.
how they felt. And that each family member and were told I think the treatment, the professional treatment one, I think that's where it was good, is that he let them each speak, but he did always say, don't let me put words in your mouth.
Mhm. He also always said to them, tell me, like, am I understanding this right? You know, like, this is, am I getting this? So I think that was part of the, you know, am I putting words in your mouth? But it's similar, you know, encouragement for them to make sure that they're communicating the same and
And
that
it
he
keeps them
can then,
engaged. Then they're constantly thinking about what he's asking,
right,
staying
exactly.
engaged in the conversation.
Yeah, totally. I liked that.
I just loved how he guided the family to say that they loved each other.
Hmm.
Right. I think that's important to express admiration and respect for one another.
I think that was the best point of the family councils ever, was that ever before you even say the opening prayer, you tell each other that you love each other. I think that that brings the spirit into the situation.
Hmm.
Yep. That's for
Okay.
sure.
So we just talked that the family needs to recognize that things are changing. Let me just kind of read this to you. It's still in rough draft form, but but the requirements are for us just to briefly summarize. So we talked about how the family was repositioned, and that repositioned the family dynamic. They were validated by not judging the members of the family. The families were not, okay, that is really rough, but I'll put it down. Opposition in all things. They needed to feel the bad so they could feel the good. And then Brother Williams helped Jimmy recognize that he had some ownership in the situation. And Jimmy saying he wasn't drinking did not relieve the stress. We did talk about that. How the father and Jimmy were alike, and it was a cycle. You know, it passed on by his father. And the reason for Jimmy to feel the father was not close. I think that's kind of, to me, I think Jimmy rebelled more about the father not being around than he did about the mother's reaction. That's just how I felt.
I think so too.
And each family member was able to express themselves, and I think we got most of the same points. Didn't we catch most of the same points? Was there anyone who you feel like? I mean, I don't know.
No, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Okay,
it's great.
and then a little thing about what we decided about the resiliency factors for his art. You know, how this kind of treatment is actually good is because you leave the responsibility of the family,
Right.
and is to make, they need to make the plan. And he kept
Right.
on normalizing the family by saying, yeah, that's normal. It's only normal. That's a normal reaction. And that he normalized by using his own experiences. The therapist said in his own experiences. And then that he just kind of encouraged the family that they needed to accept that the family dynamic is changing and this family system will be changing. And
Right.
I'm saying, don't let me put words in your mouth and tell me I understand this right. Am I getting this? And he guided the family to say they loved each other. So I think,
And maybe right there add that as he guided them to express admiration and love for one another, he also guided the family to devise their own plan of action, the roadmap to solving the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think he diffused the situation too. You know, I mean, Jimmy doesn't have as much he's leaving because he's wanting them to know that his feelings are hurt. And how can anyone know that he's leaving because his feelings are hurt? Like the mother said, she assumed it's because she yelled at him and he doesn't want to be around her anymore. Okay, that's our hour. Do you want to add anything else? Or I will go through this stuff that Brooke also put down here, and I did write some notes on it, and then I'll send this to you. I don't know how soon I'll get this out to you. I will.
Do you want me to type up my notes?
I don't want you to have to do one more thing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think what you do, Karen, what you do is when I send this out, you'll just if I send it out on a doc, then just put the changes in that you want in there, and you can take anything I set out and change it around. My feelings will not be hurt, and so Brooke,
I won't dare take anything out. But I will send any kind of reply and let you know if there's anything I think that needs added. How's that?
Okay, and Brooke, the same thing from you. And then when you do think it's fine, like you send me back the suggestions, then I'll get it arranged.
Hang on one second. Is she doing okay?
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I came down that first time,
I didn't see you come out.
Me halfway. Oh no, you're
okay.
So I haven't seen her, but Jolly's help, that shorter girl, that shorter tech. She's taking care of it, so I'm sure she's okay.
Okay, I'm almost finished.
Okay.
So I'll be back
I'll
in
pop
just.
in there too when I get back.
And just let her know I'm almost finished, and I'll be back in a minute.
I will. Good luck.
Thanks. Sorry.
Oh, I feel so bad for you, Karen, and your poor mother. How's she taking everything?
It's hard. Yeah, I'm going to stop the recording if we want to talk about my mom, but let me just stop that broadcast real quick.